Greetings and welcome to Flanigan's EcoLogic. I am your host, Ted Flanigan, and this week I am pleased to welcome David Kilzer to the podcast. We're going to talk about robotics, robots, automation, AI humanoid robotics. David works with strategic transformation advisors. He has for years, and he is helping companies seize their opportunities and meet the challenges of automation and AI-enabled humanoid robotics. David, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Ted. It's very nice to be with you here.
I'm glad you're taking the time to do so. And where are you located right now as we speak?
Right now, I'm in our offices in Scottsdale, Arizona. Lovely desert here.
Well, that's a great place to be. I love Scottsdale. And I think I framed your current work, but you mentioned to me before we jumped on here that you've got a new project, and maybe that'll give people a sense of the kind of work that you are doing right now. You mentioned the project in Salem, Oregon.
Yeah, that's part of Strategic Transformation Advisors' efforts. We're putting together a rather large and very automated distribution center for very large industrial products. I think we're really breaking some new ground there in terms of the amount of automation that we've been able to amass and pull together to give a facility a very productive and hopefully a very green profile. So,
and you said that's about $130 million worth of automation, right?
That includes the facility cost, but yes, it's got 3 different types of robots in it. Mobile robots that are back-jacking type, the ones with forklifts, the ones that crawl around racks, returning goods, and then we have something called vertical lift modules that take product, store it away, and then bring it back to human accessible levels. And another one where it runs a robot down the center and loads and unloads totes from the sides and brings them to the people that are working there. It's just a lot of fun.
It sounds like it, and obviously the high level benefits are cost savings. I imagine there's a safety element as well. Am I missing any of the other big ones? I mean, you got obviously the robots can work 24/7.
Huge savings. The facility is in Salem, Oregon, but it's a non-air conditioned space. So there is no requirement because the bulk of the work that is done by machinery, and people are able to move in and out of air-conditioned spaces or heated spaces as required. So the amount of energy that the facility burns versus a classical facility where you have to heat and cool is dramatically reduced.
Yeah, that's great. So how did you get into this? I think I read that you grew up in North Dakota. Is that right? And then you did mechanical engineering and also business management at college. How did you, what was your, just thumbnail, what was the trajectory into this automation?
I'm a North Dakota farm boy. I grew up on a farm, my dad's farm. And my dad was not a wealthy farmer. So that means he bought lots of used equipment. And so a lot of my youth was spent working on machinery to keep it running and hopefully improve it. So I had a really interest in trying to make not just the machine run, but try to make it run better than what it had been. And I kind of carried that on, an interest into college at North Dakota State University. It was a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. Actually, it was a thermal science option. I was educated to design nuclear power plants, but I graduated right at the time that something called 3 Mile Island happened.
Took the wind out of your sails there, huh?
So I did have a bit of a segue in terms of my career and went to work with General Electric Company, designing automation for the production of lighting. And that's where they put me, and it aligned well with my interests. It was great fun. And at the same time as going to school at night, so I got my MBA from Indiana University when they shipped me out to Indiana to, actually it was making transformers and small motors at the time. So
interesting. Now, I just one quick question about the farm. What were you growing on the farm? Was that all corn or did you have other crops?
It was almost all wheat.
Oh, it was wheat. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, southwestern North Dakota. It's not so good for corn, but it grows great hard spring durum wheat, so it makes the best pasta.
And,
So,
and your father must have been terribly disappointed that you wanted to leave the farm. Or am I reading that wrong?
no, actually, he was not disappointed at all. His youthful ambition was to be an engineer,
Oh, there you go.
but he got kind of sidetracked by the Second World War. He was in the Army Air Corps, and by the time the war ended, shortly after the war ended, he got married and started a family, and no chance to go to engineering school at that point in time. So he worked with my grandfather on his farm, bought a farm next to his dad's place, and there it was. There I am in the farm.
So now in your career, we'll sort of fast forward, but I listened to your TEDx talk, which I really enjoyed. And you talked about in your career, you talked about this amazing progress when, before there were PCs, personal computers, you saw the rise of PCs and how that affected industry. You saw the rise of the internet, smartphones, and now we have AI. And I think you called the fusion of AI and humanoid robotics one of the biggest leaps since the invention of fire. Exhilarating, and terrifying. Talk
Yeah.
about, if you could just describe what AI humanoid robotics are.
Well, what is AI? I mean, that's logic, that's reasoning, that's knowledge, and that's the ability to combine them into decisions. And you take that power and you give it a machine that looks like a human. That means it fits the world. The world is built for humans, human scale. And so now I got a machine that's fit to that. It's modeled after humans, so things like stairwells and doorways are not an issue. And you take that machine and you equip it with the AI. It's a whole new universe of possibilities at that point.
Yeah.
And you can start to see some of it take place right now. That TEDx talk was in Greenville, South Carolina, and so I, in my drive from Charlotte to Greenville, I went right by Spartansburg, where BMW has a very large assembly plant. In there, they've had a fleet of robots working 2 10-hour shifts, 20 hours a day, for a little bit longer than last year, with in the end, very good results. They went through some learning curve on it, as you would expect, but the trajectories are going to be adding more and more, especially in those areas that are the 3Ds, the dirty, the dangerous, and the drudgery. And where humans don't have a fondness of that space to start with. So, if we take them out of dangerous and replace them with the machines, I think that's a great fit there.
I guess I hadn't even thought about mining, but going down shafts and all that would be another place that you could potentially use robots to take humans out of danger. In your TEDx talk, and I want you to run through this. You sort of laid out a vision of 2032, starting off with a smart home that wakes you up. Can you just sort of, you hit on a number of sort of applications for AI, humanoid robotics, and automation. Can you run through that scenario for us?
Well, the scenario, the preface leading into it is that the change is going to be gut wrenching in a lot of ways. Mm. But my message there is that it's going to be worth the effort because of the huge potential for these machines to add greatly to the quality of human life.
Yeah.
And so some of the applications that would lead to that would be, robots that work in the home, that can cook, can clean, and do laundry. Robots that can work in the home and teach your daughter algebra. I'm not so, the engineering degree aside, that's a lot of years ago. When I was working through mathematics with my children, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
To have a machine, and it is a machine that has the world's accumulation of knowledge in its repertoire. I mean, that's a great asset for that. So it's not just in the factories; it's going to be in the home. It'll also be in healthcare systems. There is I referenced in that talk the EBAR robot that is being developed in MIT, and it's for assistance of nursing staff and elder care staff in facilities where they have to do a lot of patient lifts, which is really a source. I was shocked at the level of injury that those professions have, specifically from doing patient lifts. I mean, if you're in a factory and you pick up a load and the load shifts a little bit, you can drop that. You're in a nursing facility and you pick up a patient and your grip slips a bit. No, you cannot drop.
Yeah.
So the back wrenching and labor that damages a lot of those people, we have now access to machines that can help. So it's good for the patient or the client, and it's good for the staff as well. So that's another application. There are robots that are working in dangerous areas like biohazard facilities.
Yep.
Where you certainly don't want humans in there. Humans can make mistakes. Humans are susceptible for catching viral infection and transmitting it. The robot can be in there, and they're going to be very precise. They're a machine, after all. So they will program it, not make the same mistakes that humans are prone to. You can run them through a full poison or a gas immersion on the way into and out of the space, so you can take care of any contamination that's on there. So obviously you can't do that to humans. So there's some real advantages there. And in doing heavy lifts, actually there's a new. Just saw it this morning that there's a new robot company in California that has had, we just now learned about it, heavy lift robots, and these are anthropoid robots, humanoid robots, working in factories, carrying large awkward items in excess of 40 kilograms. Up till now, it's been about 30 kilograms limit, but now we're starting to see heavy and heavier lift capabilities from those machines.
Tremendous advances.
So the applications are going to continue to broaden, and what I think we have to really look at is that with all the use cases that we can envision now and those that we can't envision yet, the amount of these machines that will be produced is on a scale where there's been no other automation of this type ever had that benefit from. The one-arm scare robots that are, every movie that you see of a automotive manufacturing plants with the sparks flying around the end of it, there's thousands of those. Tens of thousands of those machines out there. These humanoid robots, there's going to be millions, and some projections in the billions of these machines produced. And so when you get that kind of volume, you're going to see cost reductions per machine on a scale that the other automation can't imagine.
Yeah. Before we leave the applications, there were a few I wanted to just point out for our listeners. You talked about in the healthcare sector, delivering vaccines in quarantine zones, right? We've just been through, the most amazing pandemic, obviously in our lifetimes and for centuries even. That was another one that struck me. My gal loves the idea of the laundry being taken care of, folding the laundry, mowing the lawn, playing chess with grandpa was another one that you laid out there. Endlessly patient in playing chess with grandpa or teaching kids languages like you talked about.
Yeah,
The breadth is just staggering, isn't it?
it is. I think that they're a real asset to human potential. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to have some dystopian valleys to transit before we get to those lofty peaks that we're describing.
Right.
So I think,
Well, describe that. What kind of dystopian valleys are you envisioning?
There's going to be a lot of work that's being displaced.
Right.
We've already seen people that have been, that have trained themselves to do coding for years, all of a sudden no longer required to do the coding. They're surplus, if you will. And the manual labor that's taking place, that's going to take someone's position at this point. So I think what I'm trying to do is keep people positive.
Yeah.
And incent people to invest in themselves, to prepare themselves for this change. It's coming at us at unbelievable speed. Don't be too pie-eyed or look beyond and think it's going to be utopia to start with. Understand that there's going to be some transitions. Prepare yourself for those transitions. And that's how we're going to get through to the other side and achieve those things like the smart home that wakes you up, and robots that make your coffee, and cars that drive you wherever you want to go. And that's on the other side.
That's on the other side. And as you said in that TEDx talk, yes, you're taken to work in your Waymo-like vehicle with a robot copilot. You get to work, your robot has already scanned the legal documents that you were going to go through, spotted areas that need to be addressed, and by 2:00, you're ready to leave, go home, or schedule a tea time at the golf course. I mean, if we can get through this, the quality of life can be improved for many of us.
Yeah, I think for mankind.
For mankind, yeah.
Yeah, I really think that's there. It's been described variously. One of the descriptions I particularly like is one of sustainable abundance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think that's achievable with this kind of technology as a resource to humans, humankind. So
I've got a few questions for you on some of the implications as we can drill in a little bit, but I wanted to hit on this notion of open access robot learning. And I have just told this to a few friends since I met you a few days ago, that this whole notion that a humanoid robot, AI-powered humanoid robot in Japan might learn how to make sushi, and then that knowledge would be uploaded to the cloud, and then all other robots that were part of that access to that platform would also know how to make sushi. Am I characterizing that about right?
well, you're absolutely right. I mean, some of the breakthroughs there are in the operating systems that these robots are being developed. And right now, that was in reference to a company called OpenMind that has created OM1, which at that time was the world's first open source robot operating system. So that really enables a global hive mind where one robot will learn something and it'll immediately promulgate that, make that available, information available to promulgate to any other robot that's on that same operating system with very few barriers.
So you won't just be buying a robot in the future. I mean, I'm envisioning this right at my own house. Maybe I'll buy a robot here in the next 5 or 10 years, but I would also be buying an operating system, and I would be selecting an operating system, based on the kinds of things that I would want my robot to do?
Yes, I'm not so sure that when we're purchasing robots for our homes, which we will, that we're going to be in a position to have a large selection of operating systems. I think the market's going to demand that level of information interchange capability in the machines that the companies bring to market.
Well, maybe David, maybe it's more like buying apps as opposed to buying, you're working on an operating system, but maybe you're buying apps that will give you access to
That's
certain
a better
tasks.
analogy. I mean, it's like we're not gonna tune the iPhone itself
Yeah.
to what we need. We're gonna purchase or acquire the apps that make that iPhone work as we want it to work and put it on there, and that'll be somewhat analogous to what we will do with the domesticated humanoid robots.
Yeah, I may want my robot to do sushi, or I may want to get into some Thai food, or who knows what. Who knows what? It just sort of blows your
Well, I
mind,
mean,
right?
we're talking about food and stuff inside the house. I'm also thinking that in the summer it's too darn hot here to work outside. So a machine that would go out there and take care of the weeds that need to be plucked and and a little bit of trimming that needs to get done. There's a lot of applications.
Yeah.
That
But
these
then,
machines.
but make sure that machine has enough time to come in and stir up a margarita, or blend a margarita too. Take a minute there.
Yeah, that would be an important skill.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the job loss implications. You mentioned this a second ago, and I guess Goldman Sachs has already reported that about 6 or 7% of our workforce has already been displaced. I presume that's a U.S. number.
That's a U.S.
And we'll probably see a net loss of about 14 million U.S. jobs by 2027. So this gets, we talked about robots in warehouses and automation of warehouses, coders, but this is really getting with ChatGPT and some of these other forms of AI. These robots will be able to do more and more sophisticated tasks. Amazon has laid off 14,000 workers already this year, or was it last year? I guess last year probably, and up to 30,000 by the end of this year. So these are major implications, aren't they?
Yeah, there are shifts now. Is in the coming of any other automation. I mean, at one point in time, when the screw machine was introduced, there was a lot of people that had been doing machining that were no longer needed to be doing machining. So, the good screw machine could turn in a day what it would take 20 men on lathes to produce. So
Yeah.
there's been this is not new.
Well, it goes back to the French. Well, the French, the saboteur. The word saboteur comes from, wasn't it the French who took off their shoes, their clogs, and they were called sabots. They threw them into the machinery, to wipe out the machinery that were taking their jobs, right? So,
yeah. I mean,
we've
it's
seen this.
we hopefully mankind has learned a little bit in terms of case in point is the common term Luddite.
Yeah.
Someone who is not for good reason, but reluctant to move on with the available technology. There's got to be some degree of faith, if you will, in terms of looking back over history that when those jobs were taken, those jobs were replaced with jobs that no one could have anticipated. When those, all those people that were putting together all those mechanical calculators.
Yeah.
When electronic calculators came out, they were displaced.
Yes.
But
So
they got jobs.
we moved into the information. We moved into the information era, I think, is what you're saying. There was all sorts of new jobs, more sophisticated, quote unquote, jobs.
Yep. I think that there were, that we have to learn from the history and say that it's likelihood that humankind are inventive enough to expand the market given the tools.
Yeah.
It's not a pure zero sum game.
Right. You made a fascinating point that I have been thinking about, the notion of taxing robotic labor. And it was almost a nod to being sympathetic to the IRS, which is an unusual position to take. But I think you said, who else can work 24/7 with no benefits? And what about the losses to income tax? Delve into that a little bit, would you please, David?
Well, it's trying to look through the seat of the path through to that future we talked about, knowing that we're going to go through some rather dramatic transitions from here to there. And it will be times where there will be large swaths of people that have been displaced that have not yet had the benefits of these new jobs that we anticipate. So there's going to be needing to have some sort of support through that. And so what I suggested that we should pilot some efforts at this time before those problems arrive. That as a society, we have to prepare for this. We can't wait for it to show up at our combined doorsteps. That we should be thinking about it, planning for it, looking around for models that could help us make this transition. I suggested that the Norwegian approach with their sovereign wealth fund was an interesting model to take a shared resource and turning it into a very sustainable sort of wealth for the country. That maybe the productivity that we get from AI and humanoid robotics has the same element to it. How to access, how to take a portion of those benefits and make them available, like a sovereign wealth fund. I'm not sure the mechanisms that would work at this point in time. That's the work that the policymakers, that the planners have to do. But it's clear that worker that's in the factory today, he's paying his FICA taxes. That worker that's in a factory today is paying their income taxes. That robot that's going to come in and do those jobs is going to work 24 hours a day and not pay any FICA taxes or income taxes. So there's going to be a hole there in terms of funding the government. I don't think anyone would debate that the government needs to be funded.
Right.
And
it's a fascinating thought. I mean, the notion of taxing AI. Don't know how we would do it, but might need to. If you buy a robot or if you lease a robot, you may have to pay some sort of a new tax on that again to make up for the shortfalls that you're talking about. Fascinating.
I'm not the economist in this area. Very much a free market person, so that coming to that point where that we would even consider anything like UBI was a very large evolution on my part. But when I look forward to this, trying to understand what the future is, there's going to be some dislocations that need to be addressed, that we're humans. And I don't know what the answers are, but what I'm encouraging is the people that are responsible on all sides of the issue. Individuals, people in business, people in the government sector, that everyone collaborate in being proactive in terms of addressing the challenge. And we have some time now. We should be piloting different ideas. I mean, one of the reasons that the U.S. works so well is you've got these 50 independent locations that run experiments, and we learn from each other in terms of what the different states do. We ought to have some dynamic like that helps us try different approaches and learn from each of those approaches, which will work and which will work best.
Yeah. So here's the question that everybody asks, I'm sure, of you, and that is, how fast is this all happening? You've alluded to it a few times, but when will mature humanoids be available? How soon might I have a humanoid, an AI-powered humanoid robot in my own home or in your home, David?
I'm thinking that they're going to start appearing in homes in the 2030s in terms of great numbers. They're going to be appearing in factories in 2028. 2 years out, we're going to start to see a very large number of robots being deployed in factories and distribution centers that are doing a lot of the manual work, the dangerous work, the repetitive work. And you can already see that starting with Hyundai's purchase of that controlling stake in Boston Dynamics, and Boston Dynamics being able to impressively convert their hydraulic machines into very high performance electrical machines, and then the application of those electric machines in the Hyundai factories that are today working in some of the sheet metal handling. That shows how quickly that can take place. So you take a look at Figure AI and what they're doing. You take a look at what the Tesla Optimus robot is doing. What's kind of frightening is the speed of development of robotics in China at this point. I've been in this automation world for a half century.
Yeah.
I have, in that half century, I've never seen anything approach in any degree the speed that this new technology is being evolved. If you take a look at the amount of money that's being spent on not just on developing these machines today, but on building the factories to produce these machines. I mean, Tesla just announced that they're shutting down their Fremont factory from manufacturing cars and turning it into a robot manufacturing facility. So if they're investing that kind of capital in there, they must know something about those machines that we don't know in terms of how close they are to that type of volume production. So get ready, it's coming.
Fasten your seatbelt. David, thank you so much for being on the podcast and enlightening me and enlightening our audience. Fascinating discussion.
I enjoyed it very much, Ted. Thank you.
That's it. Thanks for listening to Flanigan's EcoLogic. We'll see you next time.